A big day for political aspirants as the filing of certificates of candidacy for the 2022 elections officially opens. Presidential, vice presidential, and senatorial aspirants, one by one, showed up at the Harbour Garden tent of Sofitel Hotel in Pasay City to formalize their intent to seek public office. Others filed their COCs in local offices of the Commission on Elections. We'll see more of them in the coming days with no expected major fanfare, in line with protocols because of the raging COVID-19 pandemic. Our Melissa Lopez joins us live. Melissa, COMELEC wrapping up the first day. What are the highlights?
Yes, Pia, veterans and neophytes hoping to lead a nation of 110 million people in the next 6 years today formalized their bid for national posts on day one of the filing of certificates of candidacy. First to show up at the makeshift filing site set up by COMELEC, Antique Congresswoman Loren Legarda, followed by Sorsogon Governor Cheese Escudero through a representative. Both are seeking a Senate comeback, while Senator Risa Ontiveros eyes a second term. Meanwhile, Senator Manny Pacquiao leads the pack of 6 presidential aspirants. At the Sofitel's tent in Pasay City, Pacquiao sprang a surprise with Buhay Party List Representative Lito Atienza alongside as his running mate. They also faced a mass gathering of supporters that apparently disregarded health protocols and a motorcade that caused traffic jams. 2 others expressed intent to join the vice presidential race for various reasons, including a woman who says she is the medium of white elves and another wishing to end hunger using a little-known form of technology. Representatives of 18 party list groups dropped by to file their candidacies in trickles. Some familiar faces like incumbent Congressman Ron Salo of Kabayan Party List and Quezon City Councilor Lala Soto, the daughter of Senate President Tito Soto, who is also seeking the vice presidency. Other aspirants are first-time contenders. There's a security guard hoping to be senator to provide better social benefits, cheaper internet, and simpler access to government IDs and permits. Another man, Samuel Sanchez, said he feels hopeless about the country's state and saw the need to serve. He pledged to give half of his Senate salary to the poor if elected. A common theme among aspirants, the COVID-19 response, corruption, poverty, and China's claims in the West Philippine Sea. Aspirants have a week, including Saturday and Sunday, to file their COCs. The deadline is 5 p.m. on October 8th. COMELEC enforces very strict health protocols along with a negative antigen test at the filing site. COMELEC spokesman James Jimenez reports that one staff member at the local COMELEC office in Batangas tested positive for COVID-19 and was quickly isolated along with a close contact. Overall, Jimenez says day one of COC filing was, quote, peaceful and organized nationwide. Back to you.
Melissa Lopez there reporting. Pacquiao and Atienza, Manny Pacquiao and Lito Atienza are running under the Cebu-based PROMDI political party, which is allied with PDP Laban. Pacquiao is facing a challenge by a faction of that PDP Laban party that wants him out of that ruling party. The issue is pending with COMELEC. Now, with over 2 million Filipinos infected with the deadly coronavirus and hundreds of thousands losing their jobs because of lockdowns, voters now want a candidate who has a better pandemic response plan. Here's our George Quiles with that story.
Young Filipinos endure long lines in voter registration sites for a reason.
Na-emphasize po yan ngayong pandemya na isa yung Pilipinas sa pinaka naghihirap dahil na rin to sa at pinapatunayan ng gobyerno po na kailangan talaga ng pagbabago kasi nahihirapan lang po tayo. So baka kailangan na ng bagong mga taong uupo at ito po yung paraan.
It's time na po na bumoto na ako kasi po nakakaloka po yung mga nangyayari dito ngayon, lalo na for healthcare workers. Sayang naman yung boto ko, di ba? Na at least matulungan ko yung mga healthcare workers kung meron pong willing na paglaban sila.
Political scientist Carl Mark Ramota says COVID-19 pandemic response will be top of mind among voters. As Filipinos tired of lockdowns, getting sick, and losing the ones they love to the virus, look for leadership to navigate through the crisis.
It's really hitting closer to home. We have entire families, communities affected by this pandemic. And so it becomes personal. And as we know, personal is political. And people now see that their personal loss, their personal grief is a result of negligence, of even criminal negligence on the part of the government.
The latest SWS surveys show that President Duterte's popularity has been on a decline since late last year. And it doesn't get any better. A Bloomberg study among 53 countries released in September showed the Philippines as the worst place to be in this pandemic, citing challenges facing the Duterte administration in dealing with the Delta variant.
I think even with the difficulties in voter registration, not to mention the threat itself of the pandemic, people still go out there to line up because they see that this state of affairs can no longer continue beyond 2022. We cannot simply just continue with how things are being run at present.
Ramota says a COVID-19 response that's lacking has been viewed as a lesson, that Filipinos deserve better leadership and the elections will help them obtain that. George Cahiles, CNN Philippines.
The National Police vows to ensure an orderly election process, beginning with today's filing of COCs up to the declaration of winners. The agency says it is fully prepared for any eventuality following simulation exercises. It's also coordinating with the COMELEC on intelligence monitoring. With regards to health protocols, the PNP chief has this message for those filing their COCs.
Tumaapila tayo sa mga kandidato at kanilang mga taga-suporta na kumilos ng maayos na naayon sa panahon. Kung noon ay hinahayaan natin ang malapyas ng mga gawain sa filing ng Certificate of Candidacy, hindi natin papayagan ito ngayon dahil nasa gitna tayo ng pandemya. So we expect the candidates themselves to take their own measures to prevent this from happening for the protection of everybody.
PNP has also implemented a nationwide gun ban as part of its security measures. This will be in effect until October 9. Now, familiar faces showing up to file their certificates of candidacy for local positions. Some of them are either seeking re-election or aiming to swap seats. AC Nichols tells us who are running for local posts in Metro Manila.
For Pasig City Mayor Vico Soto, the work is far from over. He says he wants to serve for a second term to make sure his reforms reach the grassroots, especially social services.
Halimbawa, yung social pension, meron na pong ordinansa yan. We want to have a local social pension for those 65 and above na walang ibang source of income kapag matanda na or elderly na po sila.
Soto will now have a running mate, former Pasig Representative Robert Dodot Jaworski. In Valenzuela City, the brothers Gatchalian, sons of a Filipino-Chinese business magnate, attempt to swap positions. Congressman Wes Gatchalian files his COC for mayor, and his brother, Mayor Rex, will run for congressman.
Itong pandemic na to, marami ring nagalit sa mga local government units for being too strict. Like we impose liquor bans, we are in the front line ng galit sometimes ng taong bayan because of our strictness. So those will be taken against my sibling. I'm sure kahit wala siyang kinalaman sa mga desisyon na yon. So I think it's unfair to say na dahil Gatchalian lang, automatic agad. Quite the contrary, it carries a burden with it also.
Sa aking pag-upo po, ang tututukan natin ay ang pagbabalik tulong sa mga nawalan ng trabaho dahil sa pandemya. No? Kaya po tinayo natin yung West COVID Help Desk ay para ho makatulong din sa mga micro-entrepreneurs natin na naapektuhan at nagsara dahil po sa pandemya.
Their brother, Senator Sherwin Gatchalian, has yet to announce his plans. While they are not brothers, the incumbent mayor and congressman in Muntinlupa City are also switching seats. Mayor Jaime Fresnetti vying for a congressional seat and Representative Rufy Biazon for the mayoral post.
At dahil kami naman ay magkasama sa partido at pareho rin ang mga pananaw sa mga bagay-bagay, mabibigay natin yung assurance na yung mga effective programs na yan ay may pagpapatulong.
At least 4 Quezon City Councilor aspirants filed their COCs, including former journalist Dolan Castro, who is going for a seat in the city's 1st district. A first during the pandemic, COC filing rules are different. Quezon City Police had to ask some supporters to leave the venue due to crowding.
Ay, pagpasensyahan niyo na po kung mayroon po nagkaroong hindi inaasahang pangyayari. Hayaan niyo po lahat po ng staff ko at mga supporters ko ay talaga naman pong maibibrief na po sa susunod po, no, para po masunod natin ang mga protocol na dapat po nating nasundan at hindi na po maiwasan yung ganung pangyayari.
Over in Makati City, Mayor Abby Binay seeks re-election, with a representative filing documents for her. AC Nichols, CNN Philippines.
We'll check who have filed their certificates of candidacy in the regions, and we'll speak with Valenzuela Representative Wes Gatchalian. He's running for mayor, hoping to switch seats with his brother. Details next.
Nagsimula sa isang pangarap. Ika'y tutulungang ibahin ang buhay na nakasanayan.
Naka 24 months ka na sa pag-ibig.
May panghulog na ako sa motor.
Uy, bagong motor!
Gagawa ng hakbang para mapaghandaan ng forever.
Saan ka ha?
At harapin ang bukas nang may maaasahan. Simulan mo na ang forever mo ngayon. Fund your forever with Pag-ibig Fund.
Welcome back to Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines. Again, our top story, it is the first day of a week-long filing of certificates of candidacy for the 2022 elections. Over 18,000 posts are up for grabs. Some wasted no time as they immediately formalized their bid. Our Tristan Odalo has the details from the regions.
Members of political clans and familiar personalities lead people filing their certificates of candidacy or COC in the regions. In Cavite Province, Governor John Vic Remulla files his COC early with Tagaytay City Councilor Athena Tolentino. Cavite Vice Governor Jolo Revilla is running for a House seat under the Agimat Party List group. His brother Brian Revilla will run for Vice Mayor, while his mother, Bacoor Mayor Lani Mercado, has yet to announce if she will seek re-election or run for Congress. So far, the filing of COC in the vote-rich province of Cavite has been smooth and peaceful thanks to its appointment system.
Because of the pandemic, we have requested kasi the candidates to have an appointment. Mas organized din and mas maganda yung talagang controlled namin yung number of persons inside the venue.
In the meantime, father and son will face each other in Ilocos Sur's vice gubernatorial race. Ryan Singson is seeking re-election. His challenger, his father, Luis Chavez Singson, who is current Narvacan mayor. Singson has been a colorful political figure and was instrumental in the downfall of then-President Joseph Estrada. In Albay, 2nd District Representative Joey Salceda calls his second-term bid as, quote, renewal of job order. He has no challenger yet. In Cebu, only a handful of officials filed their intent to run for public office. The younger brother of Cebu Governor Gwen Garcia, Pablo John, is seeking re-election for the 5th Congressional District. Governor Garcia and her potential challenger, former Tourism Secretary Ace Durano, are expected to file their COCs next week. It's anybody's ball game at this point as election fever begins in the whole country. In Cavite, Tristan Odalo, CNN Philippines.
Supporters of Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte gathered with a common goal to convince her to run for president. A mass was held and other supporters hit the road for a motorcade in Quezon City. In Cebu City, Duterte supporters put up a campaign headquarters. Groups have been pushing the mayor to run for the highest post, saying she would be a better leader than her father, President Duterte. Last month, Mr. Duterte accepted his nomination as vice presidential candidate of a faction of the ruling PDP Laban Party. On Facebook, the presidential daughter thanked her supporters. She says service to the country will continue no matter the position. Now, over in Valenzuela City, two brothers will try to shuffle or exchange posts. Valenzuela Representative Wes Gatchalian filed his certificate of candidacy for mayor, while his brother Rex, the incumbent mayor, will vie for Wes's congressional post. We now go above and beyond the headlines with Wes Gatchalian. the youngest of the three Gatchalian brothers. Good evening to you, Kong Wes. You are trying to, well, switch posts with your brother Rex. If you both succeed, meaning if you win as for mayor, and if Rex wins for your seat, no, the first district of Valenzuela in Congress. This will be a parang return, no, for Rex to Congress, and this will be like a continuation of the Gatchalian brand of public service, so to speak.
Yes,
Am I correct?
Yes, Pia. First of all, I would like to thank you for the opportunity and for inviting me to your program. And yes, Rex used to be a two-term congressman on the same seat that I'm sitting. But for me, it is the first time that I'll be, if ever, holding on the mayorship and the legislative position.
And this is because the reason for the switching of the seats, or at least your attempt to switch seats, is because you have both reached your term limits, correct?
Yes, I'm on my third term, and likewise, Rex is on his third term. So this is the reason why we want continuity in our city. We throughout the decades that we have been serving our city, we have a lot of programs that we shared together. Malaking bagay, Pia, is kung nagtutulungan ang congressman at mayor. So this is the reason why we want to continue, so that there would be continuity in the progress of Valenzuela.
It's interesting that you use that term, Kong Wes, no, continuity, because this situation where you have members of the family, minsan hindi nga siblings lang, mag-asawa, mag-ama, mag-ina, magpipinsan, exchanging posts precisely for this continuity. And this is nothing new, because we've seen this in all post-Marcos Congresses since 1987, every time there's an election, because we all know, politics is local, and families usually rule, no? So in Valenzuela, it is, I suppose, like you said, no, what you want to do is to continue and to emphasize itong continuity of the Gatchalian public service. Pero pwede rin namang Wes, no, na hindi rin kayo tumakbo. Kumbaga, to give other people a chance.
Yes, I agree on that, Pia, and meron naman pong good brand name and bad brand name, no? There are many instances in other provinces wherein ang isang kapatid, whether it's the same surname, husband and wife, hindi binoto because of their performance. Meron naman pong mga siblings or family members, they are holding positions and serving their cities and provinces, who did good and very well in their performance. And this is why the people voted for them. Pia, at the end of the day, every 3 years, the people has the opportunity and right to choose their public figures. It doesn't mean all the time that ang isang kapatid with the same surname ay binoboto at yung isang kapatid ay kailangan din iboto. There are many instances that different po ang outcome ng elections. But what's important is the continuity of a good brand name. I guess the people in Valenzuela have seen what the family had worked hard and how we served our country. And every 3 years, it's their right to choose kung ano ba ang tingin nilang, sino ba ang tingin nilang makakatulong sa kanila na maglingkod, sino ba ang totoong naglilingkod, and if or they don't want the continuity that I mentioned, the continuity of the Gatchalian brand name.
Yeah, interesting that you bring up, and yeah, a very legitimate point there for good and bad brands, lalo na political brands, meaning the family names. Very quickly now, and you can answer this with just one word or one name. Who is your likely rival? Who is going to be Rex's likely rival also?
So far, Pia, sa awa ng Diyos, I think we are running unopposed. I've been going around the city, Pia, since last year during the pandemic. Me and Rex, we never rested, no? And we've been going around, especially ngayong pandemic na kailangan kami ng tao. I never seen any other political figures who are vying in our position. So hopefully po, as of today, October 1, wala po kaming kalaban, me, Rex, and our Vice Mayor.
Congress, you also said that this is going to be your first crack or attempt at a crack at mayor, no? So, syempre, iba rin ang trabaho ng isang lawmaker, legislative. Iba rin ang trabaho ng mayor, where you run the local government, where you attend to constituencies' basic needs in your city. How do you address that issue that even if you do exchange posts and even if you do have a good brand name and even if your voters, your constituents want continuity, that sometimes there are people who are not fit for certain posts, not necessarily you, but others, for example?
Yes, yeah, that's a good point, Pia. Well, just to inform you, Pia, that it happened already before, that me and Senator Wing sat in both in Congress. I was a party-list congressman back then. He was a district congressman. It happened also before that me and Rex were together, while at the same time, Sherwin was a mayor back then. No, so there was a point in time where the three of us were already serving the government. But you're right in saying that a role of a chief executive is really far from a role of a deputy speaker or a congressman with purely legislative functions. No, this is the reason why I prepared myself. And alam niyo, Pia, I would like to thank the good Lord for the opportunity of making me the deputy speaker for trade and industry. It's because with this position, I learned so many things, especially the plight of our micro and small enterprises who are affected in this pandemic. So pagpunta ko po, hopefully in the mayorship as chief executive, this is something na gusto nating tutukan. No? Alam nyo, out in Valenzuela, there is 19,000 establishments and businesses. Yan ang lifeline ng Valenzuela. And out of the 19,000, 14,000 are micro and small sector. And among those, 40% of that sector were badly affected by the COVID. Around 800 to 1,000 permanently closed down, and the rest are suffering and incurred damages because of the pandemic. So hopefully, by the time I sit as a mayor, we hope that the herd immunity is reached already, and the pandemic is a bit better. But we all know that the pandemic will remain in the next years to come. But what's important is to jumpstart the local economy. And this is the reason why I learned so many things being the Trade and Industry Deputy Speaker of Speaker Velasco. This in turn will help me to help my constituencies back, no? Especially those na mga naapektuhan po ng pandemya.
Well, it's good to hear, syempre, that you are preparing for that role just in case you do win. Well, like you said, so far you're running on a post. But yeah, you're right. MSMEs, the lifeline, not just of Valenzuela, but of the entire country as well. So that we can, like you said, jumpstart the economy. Congressman Wes Gatchalian, who is running for mayor of the city of Valenzuela, thank you very much for taking our questions tonight. Thank you for joining us. Salamat. President Duterte makes new moves against the Senate as it probes controversial government purchases amid the pandemic. Trisha Tirada has more about the chief executive's latest directives.
President Duterte orders the police and military to ignore directives from the Senate to arrest resource speakers cited in contempt in the ongoing investigation into the purchase of medical supplies for COVID-19 response. The president is furious as he accuses Senator Richard Gordon of recklessly holding government officials in contempt, although so far only family officials have been cited in contempt in the recent Senate inquiry. Mr. Duterte also took offense at the lack of certainty as to when the hearing would end.
And we will go on to kingdom come until we go, because we are still practically in the beginning.
The chief executive warns of a possible constitutional crisis, and he points the finger at Gordon.
Kayong mga senador, you might be offended by my words now. Yung kasama ninyo, sabihan ninyo, pag hindi rin kayo makaprangka, gusto ninyong sumali sa Rumble, di mag-Rumble tayo. Then I said there will be a constitutional crisis.
President Duterte is no longer allowing executive officials to obey summons with regard to the Senate probe. He has instructed Executive Secretary Salvador Medialdea to draft a memo to make it official. The chief executive says cabinet secretaries have wasted so much time attending the hearing with no end in sight. He wants them to just focus on the COVID-19 response.
So this time, I will castrate you. Yun lang, Dick. Tulog ka na. And prepare tomorrow. Because tomorrow, you will be one of those impotent by your making an impotent worker of government.
Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque says there's a legal basis for the president's directive.
It is already tantamount to grave abuse of discretion. It no longer is in aid of election. It is a witch hunt. It is a persecution. It is in aid of election.
The president also warns Gordon that the government will be filing a malversation case against him. Trisha Terada, CNN Philippines.
Reacting to the president's directive, Senate President Tito Soto says cabinet members may only be requested to appear based on the Constitution. Soto adds respect towards a co-equal branch of government is still alive, at least on the part of the Senate. Senator Kiko Pangilinan calls it a desperate attempt at a cover-up. He says the president's order is futile because the truth can be uncovered even without cabinet officials, noting that shocking testimonies have come from citizens. San Miguel Corporation marks its 131st anniversary by extending support to the national government's COVID-19 vaccination program and paying tribute to all SMC personnel who died from the coronavirus. The diversified conglomerate launched the SMC Bakuna Bus to vaccinate inmates at the Correctional Institution for Women in Mandaluyong, as well as jeepney drivers and their families and other members of the indigent population in Pasig City. SMC also donated 15,000 doses of the company-procured AstraZeneca vaccines to various cities. SMC President and CEO Ramon Ang led the simple mass held at the company's office or headquarters in Pasig to commemorate the lives of its employees who died of COVID-19. Ang also called on other employees to honor and continue the legacy of their fallen colleagues. Ang vowed to fully vaccinate SMC's workforce by November. At present, over 64,000 employees and extended workers have already received their coronavirus shots. When we come back, it's not just Cebu locals that are feeling pride over this year's Miss Universe Philippines winner. Details after a quick break. Yesterday crowned its first ever openly gay Miss Universe Philippines. Cebu City's Beatriz Luigi Gomez, the out and proud title holder, nabbed awards all throughout the night, including Best Evening Gown and Best Swimsuit. But Gomez sealed the deal after winning judges over at the Q&A segment. Responding to a question about how she would overcome sadness during her reign, the 26-year-old said the pandemic has proven that people can overcome difficulties, and so she would inspire others by doing the same and not giving up. Gomez's longtime girlfriend, Kate Hagdon said the new queen has done just that with her authentic journey towards claiming the crown. In an Instagram post, Hagdon congratulated her partner of over 6 years and thanked several people, including Gomez's family and team, for their help throughout the competition. But before the newly crowned winner walked the Miss Universe Philippines runway in sky-high heels, she also donned boots for basic citizens military training. The Naval Reserve Center in Eastern Visayas posted their support on Facebook, writing that she is the epitome of grace and patriotism. The beauty queen was given the rank of corporal after training in January this year. Another group is rejoicing over Gomez's win. Members and allies of the LGBTQIA+ took to social media to celebrate her title, praising Gomez for her pride in raising the LGBT flag. But one supporter took it a step further by sharing her story to the competition winner. Miss Trans Global 2020, Mela Hapijan, received an encouraging response from the new queen, talking about how she was previously excluded in an event in Cebu for her openness about her gender identity. But Gomez said she is standing up for victims of discrimination, so the next generations will not go through the same ordeal. Habijan posted screenshots from their exchange saying Gomez is representation for the criticized and the excluded. It is 85 more days to go before Christmas, and that is it for now. Thank you for watching. I'll see you again at 7 for News.ph. I'm Pio Ontiveros for Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines.
This program is brought to you by
RPN, Radio Philippines Network Incorporated, DXKO. Present sa Zindautso sa bayan sa inyong radyo. RPN DXKO, ang Radyo Ronda dili sa Dakbayan sa Cagayan de Oro. Sibiyahan na may galaon sa katawhan, andam mo serbisyo sa tanan. Ang RPN DXKO Radyo Ronda sakop sa KBP, kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas.
At a very young age, we're told by our parents or elders that we must sit up straight and stand up tall, again and again and again. Come to think of it, you do look better instantly. But more than that, you'll actually feel better. And there are many reasons why. Improving your posture has many payoffs. Today on the program, we'll look into the many benefits of a healthy posture, what it means for your spine, your lungs, your digestive system, and blood circulation, your energy level, and overall self-confidence. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez. Welcome to MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines. A healthy posture helps us with our everyday movements and regular activities, putting the least amount of strain on our body. And that's why it is so important. I'd like to welcome our guests for today. First, we have Dr. Larry Acuña. He's an orthopedic surgeon and the head of the spine section at the Medical City and Asian Hospital and Medical Center. Our next guest is Dr. Jericho de la Cruz. He's a rehabilitation medicine specialist and the National Secretary of the Philippine Academy of Rehabilitation Medicine, also from the Asian Hospital and Medical Center. It's easy for us, so many of us, to forget about good posture. We see a lot of people who slouch or even slump, and yet we wonder why we wake up with so much aches and pains. Let's define first what good posture is, which is otherwise known as having a neutral spine. Ano ibig sabihin nun, Doc Larry?
Posture means it's a position of the body, no? With regards to sitting or standing. And a good posture is equivalent to a good spine, a balanced spine. We look at the spine. We have, we call it cervical, thoracic, and lumbar. So they have certain acceptable degrees. And in good alignment if you have a good posture.
Dr. Larry, explain natin sa ating mga viewers kung ano ang bad posture.
may certain posture that is really bad, and it affects sometimes primarily your muscles, and then eventually your joints and the discs, and affecting your nerves. That would end up with a difficulty in mobility.
Bad posture definitely will affect a lot of other organs in your body, because good posture has an effect on your blood circulation as well as your digestion, for that matter. Dr. Jack, help us understand this, because a lot of studies have come out wherein good posture is not only good for your back, but other vital organ systems in the body as well.
When you practice good posture, so you straighten up your body, your spine are aligned. Remember, the spine, it's your backbone, no? Ibig sabihin, doon nakadikit lahat ng muscles na nagpapatayo sa atin, nagpapaupo sa atin, nagpapagalaw sa atin. No, so if you practice good posture, proper posture, everything is in place. So when everything is in place, it works in optimum condition. So our muscles are in place, hindi sila masyadong nahihila, hindi sila masyadong nagsistretch.
Nakaka-apekto nga ba talaga ang bad posture sa blood pressure ng isang tao?
If you practice bad posture, the tendency is your heart works a little bit harder. No, so mas malaki yung trabaho sa puso natin. So when our heart starts pumping a little bit harder, mas nagtatrabaho siya, our blood pressure goes up. So if we practice good posture, our accessory muscles, our muscles of the limbs, no, the upper and the lower extremity, helps with our blood pressure. So our heart doesn't work that hard, so mas maganda yung blood pressure natin lumalabas.
Dr. Jack, how does sitting up straight help with both our lungs, our breathing, as well as our functional digestive system?
Ang sinasabi sa atin nung bata tayo, stomach in, chest out, no? Chin up. So technically, you're expanding your chest wall. No? Lumalaking chest wall natin, it gives space for the lung to expand. So when you give more space for the lungs, mas marami tayong oxygen na nakukuha kasi lumalaki yung area, no, na pwede nating punuin. So in effect, mas maganda yung ating breathing. No, in terms of our digestion, mas maganda rin yung position natin as compared that if we are slouching. If we're slouching, we're compressing our internal organs. Remember, everything needs room. Pag pinasok mo yung pagkain, so kailangan mag-expand din yung tiyan natin. No? So kung maganda yung ating position, maganda ang ating posture, we have room for expansion.
Doc Larry, let's explain naman what sway back is and anong epekto nito sa ating katawan.
Yung sway back kasi di-distort yung spinal alignment. So, yung magkakaroon ka ng tawag doon exaggerated thoracic kyphosis, and then yung neck mo medyo naka-hyperextend. With poor balance, poor posture, you will end up having muscle pains and fatigue earlier. Usually pagka may sway back ka, mas nag-exert kasi effort yung sa lower back mo and then the neck muscles as well.
Please explain to our viewers kung ano naman yung forward head.
Yung forward head naman, yung neck mo hyper flex, no? Parang naka-forward, from the name itself, naka-forward yung head over in relationship to your neck. So strained yung mga neck muscles mo with that kind of posture.
Dr. Jack, is it possible na meron tayong mga viewers dito who don't even notice na meron silang sway back, meron silang forward head? Ano yung kaya mga common effects na pwede nilang maramdaman that might make them think that they have these conditions?
Yung ating curvature ng spine mas lumalaki, no? Ang tendency kasi ng sway back, yun yung mga taong parang parating nakasandal pa naglalakad, no? You feel like you're falling backwards. So that's usually yun yung signs ng sway back. Yung sa forward head naman, mas madami yan ngayon, no? Especially in the advent of our technologies, parati tayong nakayupo. No, so the tendency, our neck is in an angulation. It will cause you neck pains because a minimal angulation of the neck will cost you about 20 to 60 pounds additional work for the neck.
Okay, now there are other types of common posture problems that can be avoided as well as corrected, and we'll discuss those, including exercises that can help improve posture after a short break. We're your partner in healthcare. You're watching CNN Philippines. Good posture involves teaching your body to sit, stand, walk, and even lie down in positions without straining your supporting muscles and your ligaments. It means your blood is flowing more easily and your organs are functioning without any obstructions. Welcome to MedTalk Health Talk. We're here to create a healthy tomorrow. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez. Dr. Jack, please describe this for us, itong flat back and its effects sa ating katawan.
Flat back naman, technically parang kabaliktaran ng sway back. No? Yung sway back kasi nag-increase yung curvature of the lower spine. Yung sa flat back naman, dumidiretso siya. So the tendency is hindi mo mabaluktot, no? Hindi mo siya madiretso yung spine mo kasi diretsong-diretso siya. So hindi ka makatayo ng diretso pataas. So what happens is you tilt your pelvis forward, you flex your hips and you flex your knee to be able to stand up straight.
Now, let's go to another posture syndrome known as kyphosis, which is common in older women. Dr. Jack, can you please describe what kyphosis is?
Kyphosis in our vernacular in Tagalog, yung kuba, no, nakukuba siya. Usually it happens when you have problems with the vertebral bodies. Lumiliit siya, nagkakaroon tayo ng wedges, no? So lumiliit siya, so nagkakaroon ng deformity with our spine, so nakukuba tayo. So that's the main problem with your kyphosis.
Speaking of kyphosis, bakit ito mas madalas nakikita sa mga babae at advancing age? What is the main culprit for this?
As you advance your age, yung buto nagiging brittle. So may tendency magkaroon ng osteoporosis. Yung osteoporosis kasi is a silent disease that causes fragility, fracture of the spine. So yun yung effect ng osteoporosis.
Okay, so kyphosis can also be caused by fractures, osteoporosis, as Dr. Larry mentioned, disc degeneration, as well as some forms of cancer and some cancer treatments, among others. Dr. Larry, since we're talking about osteoporosis, at what age kaya should they seek consult with their orthopedic surgeon or their spine surgeon to check out na everything is okay?
The most common cause ng osteoporosis is postmenopausal. So after menopause, nagbabago yung estrogen level. So nagkakaroon siya ng osteoporosis. Yung iba naman, maaga magkaroon ng osteoporosis dahil meron silang ibang comorbidity, like kung merong mga thyroid problems, mga endocrine abnormalities, and dun din sa mga early stage. But basically, it's after menopause for women.
Now, from a spine specialist's perspective, what type of mattress should our viewers have in terms of having a good night's sleep?
Yeah, I always advise my patients to have a firm bed mattress that would prevent from the back from sagging. Kasi nagbabago yung spinal curvature with very soft mattress. And with regards to the use of pillow, I always advise my patients to make sure that the head is always at the same level with the shoulder to prevent neck pains later on.
Now, we're your partner in healthcare here on MedTalk Health Talk. When we return, we'll share some exercises that can help with good posture. So stay with us. Good posture affects more than just your appearance. It helps you to develop strength, flexibility, as well as balance. Now, good posture can help your blood flow normally and your organs to function properly. We're in this together. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and welcome back to MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines. Please explain to our viewers kung bakit mahalaga ang pag-exercise or pag-stretch ng muscles, especially when it comes to good posture.
Yung muscles is a supporting structure of the bone. So if you have weak muscle, lahat ng mga mechanical forces will be transmitted to your bone, to your discs, and you'll end up having early degenerative process.
Doc Jack, what are the benefits of this type of pose, this resting pose?
So your resting pose, you lie down on the floor, you're flat, your palms up. No, technically, you're just resting. And then you concentrate on your breathing. So it makes you centered. You are in tune with your body. You will feel where it aches, saan siya masakit, and then it makes you relax.
Now there's another pose called, or a stretch for that matter, called the cat-cow stretch. That's another one that can help correct or lessen bad postures. Doc Jack, what does this type of stretch actually do?
Yung cat-cow stretch, you can do it three ways. You can do standing, you can do it sitting, or you can do it on all fours. No, technically, you extend and flex the spine slowly, concentrate on the breathing. So technically, it stretches. No, it stretches your upper and the lower back, stretches your arms as well and your legs.
Pero ano ba talaga ang mga core muscles, Doc Jack? How does this help with someone's posture?
So our core muscles, our abdominals, our back, no, sila yung nagpapatayo sa atin. No? It helps the body carry our own weight, no, and improves our balance. So one type of strengthening that is to do the plank. So if you do the plank, you strengthen the core, you strengthen the abdominals, you strengthen the back. But again, you strengthen the shoulder girdle muscles and the pelvic girdle muscles as well as the lower extremities. It improves our postures as well because you strengthen all of the muscles at once you strengthen the core.
Now, when we talk about starting out for the first time, for someone who has not stretched in their life, has not done any exercise, but they notice that their posture needs some help, what is your advice, Doc Jack?
So with stretching, you have to do it slowly. You have to do it calculated. Because if you do it haphazardly, the tendency is for you to injure yourself. So if you do it one movement at a time, slowly, and then you center yourself and you see what's aching and then what's bothering you. So you will do it safely.
Is there an exercise or a position they could do at home to make them feel what it feels like to have good posture?
For good posture, the tendency is you have to straighten your back. No? So, pinagagawa sa atin yung stomach in, chest out, chin up, di ba? So what you do is you pull your shoulders back and down. No? So you will feel a little bit of strain on the lower back, but you can see you're standing tall and you're breathing well.
Now, Dr. Larry, there's also a condition which a lot of our viewers may be familiar with, and that is a herniated disc or a slip disc. Now, this can cause extreme pain, especially in the lower back. It can really be debilitating. For that matter, how is this best treated?
The first thing is to prevent it from having it. So proper posture would somehow prevent having a herniated disc. And if you have the herniated disc, you feel back pain and leg pains. That means the nerve is already impinged. And 90% of the time, it's treated non-surgically. We refer patients to rehabilitation medicine. They do modalities to decrease the inflammation and eventually decreases the pain and strengthen the muscles.
Doc Jack, a lot of our viewers also are familiar with correcting apparently what's called subluxations of the bones. In short, pinapatunog, kinakrak yung kanilang bones in order to have a corrected spine by, what is your opinion in this type of practice?
As a rule of thumb, hindi siya maganda, no? Because yun nga, nabanggit nga ni Dr. Larry, sometimes if you have problems, especially with the spine, if you have brittle spine, you might, just cracking it might cause fractures. So, as a rule of thumb, mas maganda hindi natin siya gagawin.
Do you have any advice, Doc Jack, for our viewers before we go?
So, the the best part is to practice proper posture, and then you try to exercise your core muscles, try to exercise a lot, especially at this time of the pandemic, so that our body will be in tip-top condition once we start going outside.
And Dr. Larry, any advice for our viewers when it comes to good posture?
Yeah, aside from the having good posture, you have to shift position from time to time. Like when you're sitting most of the time, you should take a break at least every hour and do your stretching to avoid back pains.
Our take home for this is check with your doctor, your orthopedic surgeon, your rehab medicine specialist, your physical therapist, or even a trainer to help you identify and hopefully correct your posture. With that, I'd like to thank our guest for today, spine surgeon Dr. Larry Acuña and rehabilitation medicine specialist Dr. Jericho De La Cruz. Maraming salamat sa inyo. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and thank you for watching MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines.
RPN, Radio Philippines Network Incorporated, DXKO.